All right, nerds. So here we are. We're going to talk about the respiratory system. So how does it work? What does it do? Etc. Etc. So we want to be able to explain the function of all the different organs of the respiratory system. And here we see um, something called the bronchioles and alveoli. Of course, we can't see that in detail, but yes, these are the bronchioles. So what do we need to remember? You basically need to remember that cells require oxygen and they also need to remove the carbon dioxide wastes. It's the respiratory system, like this is the organ system that is responsible for bringing oxygen in and taking carbon dioxide away, and this process we call gas exchange. So here's what it actually is. So it starts up here, you've got an upper respiratory tract and a lower respiratory tract, and these are all our key um, organs, which we'll go into a bit. So here's the nasal cavity and mouth. The air comes in, it warms up, it gets pushed down the pharynx and the larynx, the trachea sort of holds the windpipe open, and then it goes into the bronchioles, which, the bronchi, which are the big pipes, which then split off into the bronchioles, which actually split off into something else called alveoli. Um, Down here we have the mechanics of the whole thing. This is the engine of it, and that's the diaphragm. So the bronchi, the bronchioles, and the alveoli, they exist in the lungs, and here we've got the diaphragm, and this is what actually does the hard work. So, what is it? It's essentially made up of the organs that help you breathe, okay? Breathing is respiration, and it's also the process of us using our food energy, but respiration is breathing for us as far as we're concerned at the moment. Um, the whole point of breathing in is to bring oxygen to your cells, and the breathing out is to take carbon dioxide away. So these are the two main um, goals of what you're trying to do, and the main organ for this are the lungs. Now, breathing essentially depends on the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the muscle. It's a muscle that comes across the bottom of the rib cage here, and every time it contracts, it pulls air in. We'll see how in a second. Um, Alveoli is where gas exchange happens. That's the site of gas exchange. So if we go to our bronchi, and here are our little bronchioles, on the end we have alveoli. So we have essentially what is the used up blood, the deoxygenated blood. So it's being used from the body, and it comes pumped in by the heart. It's represented by the blue lines here, pumped in by the heart, and it goes over these things here. These little bubbles are called the alveoli, and it's a moist barrier, and oxygen and carbon dioxide dissolves across it. So as they come across, they're full of blood. As this blood comes across, the carbon dioxide dissolves across and is breathed out, and the oxygen that you're breathing in dissolves across the other way and goes into the bloodstream, which then goes to the heart, gets pumped around the body, and comes back here again to deliver the carbon dioxide out and collect more oxygen. There we go. So that's all pretty straightforward. What are the organs that we have? We have the nose and the nasal cavity, also the mouth. This acts as a filter. This is why you have nose hairs. It warms and moistens the air, and that's really, really important. If you get air that's in there too cold, it won't go through gas exchange correctly. So you have the pharynx, which is just a passageway. The larynx, this is where our vocal cords or the voice box is located, so it needs to pass the wind through there so we can make sounds. We have the trachea, which is basically, it's there to keep the windpipe open. That's the ribbed sort of, it's this ribbed area here, where we're at, and that's all cartilage that gives that its shape. We've got the bronchi, which are the two branches coming off. That's the two big branches. The bronchioles are all the little network that comes off it. And these get to the air sacs, which are also called the alveoli. And this is where the gas exchange happens. Okay, so how does it work? So inhalation is breathe in. So you breathe in, the diaphragm contracts, it pulls nice and tight, which means it pulls down. So you see here's your diaphragm. When it contracts, it pulls nice and tight, so flat. This means that it causes the lungs to expand due to a decrease in air pressure, which draws air in. When that muscle relaxes, the air pressure inside increases because it pushes back up, which means it just like the lungs will deflate and push air out. And that's it. That's how the lungs work. We're going to have a look at some lungs in class, and we're also going to build a model of the lung. So we'll see you there.